Welcome to Mojave River News. I'm your host, James Roberts. On this show, we're going to be interviewing 3 candidates for Victorville City Council: Mesen, Irvin, and Laws. On this show, we're going to be covering a variety of topics with the candidates. One of the main issues within the country right now is public safety and defunding the police department. Also, we're going to talk about the homeless. What can the candidates or the city do regarding the homeless? There's issues going on as it pertains to Measure P that's on the ballot this time around, the 1% sales tax to cover the public safety. It will help fire, police, code enforcement, and a variety of other issues like libraries and literacy. Good evening, everyone. I am sitting with Kimberly Mesen. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. You're one of the candidates for Victorville City Council.
That's correct.
All right, we're going to jump right into this. How long have you been a resident in the city of Victorville?
I'm a resident of Victorville for 23 years.
Wow, that's great. You've been here a while, so you've seen a lot of ups and downs and a lot of changes.
I sure have.
Okay. And currently, what do you do? And what are your experiences?
So I currently work for Congressman Cook as his Veteran Services Director. Right after I graduated college at Cal State San Bernardino, I was given the opportunity to work for him and be able to serve the city that I grew up in, and it's been a pleasure of mine.
Wow. And how long have you been doing that?
For 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yes.
Wow. And do you stay primarily locally, or do you ever go to DC?
I've gone to DC once, but I mainly stay local here. I also do community outreach, and I'm able to relate to our constituents what's going on in DC and also the issues that are going on within the district. We want to relay that to the congressman. We do a lot of casework with federal agencies as well, and then I do work with a lot of veterans.
Great. And what was your trigger point to have you jump into this race?
So as I mentioned, I've lived in Victorville a long time, and when I came back to work for Congressman Cook, I've noticed how much the city's really changed. It's not the same city I grew up in, not the same city my parents wanted us to have opportunities in and be able to have a better future and better opportunity. So I want to be able to hopefully be able to do that for the people of Victorville and offer them what my parents were hoping to have for me and that I thankfully was able to get.
Fantastic. And have you served in any leadership capacity that you feel that you could bring that experience over as a council member?
No, not yet. At least not being an elected official, I have not had that capacity. I have worked in a nonprofit when I was in college and had internships with small leadership roles there, but to this standard, I have not.
Okay, fair enough. And right now with the climate, I've been speaking to quite a few of the candidates, and right now, due to public safety, and there's a lot of talking points out there in the community, not necessarily here in the high desert, but nationwide about defunding the police. What's your position on that?
I am not for that. I do believe that we need our police force here. I'm actually endorsed by the Sheriff's Employees Benefit Association.
Nice.
Without our police department, it's very hard to tackle homelessness, report to any calls that are needed for emergencies, and just keeping our community safe.
Nice. And are you familiar with Measure P currently?
Yes, I am.
Okay, what's your position on that?
I am for Measure P. It is
Okay.
a sales tax, so thankfully there are many individuals that come through Victorville and also shop in Victorville within the surrounding cities.
Okay.
So it is something that I believe would be beneficial, and it's also not just impacting the Victorville resident and it wasn't compared to a property tax.
Nice. And you were talking about your endorsement with the police department. I think that's the union, correct? Or
Yes. So yes, it's the Sheriff's Employees Benefits Association. So they represent all the sheriff's employees and within California.
fair enough. And are you currently endorsed by anyone else?
I'm also endorsed by GOP, by San Bernardino GOP.
Is that right? Fantastic. Roads. It's a big issue here in the high desert, especially in Victorville with the potholes. You're also having some new roads being built. What's your position? What can you do to help save our cars?
So I'm hoping to repave a lot of roads. I drive through the city all the time.
Right.
So, we have Mojave, Armagosa, Nisqually, La Paz, various roads that need a lot of work done. So it's something that I would definitely like to see the city council engage in and be able to do that for the community so that they can also have their safety.
Fantastic. I'm a local business owner, not here in the city of Victorville, but in the high desert. And what's your position, or what do you think you can do to help the community for the small business, in a sense, to foster ideas so people will want to jump in and start a new business? Is there anything in particular?
Um, as far as new business goes, we definitely want to appeal to, as I like to say, my generation, and want to make sure that they establish roots here. So communicating with the businesses and how they started, if they want to potentially grow, make another small business, and maybe a few streets over.
Okay.
But is that a conversation that we'd have to have with the city, the residents, and other small businesses in the area, and see what worked for them and what can hopefully work for potential businesses as well.
Thank you. And we're at the height of the campaign season right now. Are there 3 specific talking points that you're using that you would like to let the general public know about?
Safe communities, better opportunities for our children, and also good paying jobs.
That's straight and direct to the point. Fantastic. And to transition, I want to get back into public safety right now, because that's where my heart's at. I'm a retired police officer, so when we're talking about safety, we all are thriving to be safe. When my wife goes to the store, I want to make sure that she's safe.
Yes.
Is there anything we can do to bridge the gap between the public and the police department so we're all in unison together?
Yes, so I do believe that there could be some type of community policing in a way. You do need more officers in order to do that, but also just having more engagement between the residents and the police department, having a committee. I believe there is currently one, but also expanding that. Victorville is a very large city, and I think that's a little bit underestimated. So there needs to be better communication and just outreach in general.
Right. I'm just kind of curious, I don't even know this answer. Does the city of Victorville have like a police commission or anything like that locally?
Commissioner, not that I'm aware of.
Or a police commission, like with residents, they could sit on the board and, I guess engage with the captains and the sergeants and see what's going on locally.
So I know that there has been more engagement on that end, especially after recent events that happened. They have started a board that is communicating with the sheriff's department directly, especially in Victorville.
All right, I'm running short on time. I need you to look in that camera and please let the residents know why they should vote for you.
I'm Kimberly Mesen, and I'm running for Victorville City Council to ensure that we have safe communities, better paying jobs, and better opportunities for our children.
And right now, due to COVID, everything's pretty much shut down. We're slowly starting to open up statewide and within the county as well, and it's filtering down to the cities. Is there anything in particular you would like to see locally as it pertains to COVID?
Definitely outreach to our small businesses. They are the backbone of our community, and they have been impacted the most. So anything that we can do for them, and just interacting with them and seeing if there's anything that we can bring up at a higher level as well.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You have a good evening.
You as well.
Good evening. I'm with Leslie Irvin, one of the
evening.
candidates for Victorville City Council. Good evening to you.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing good. I appreciate you coming on the show.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, so we're going to jump right into it. Can you please let the people of Victorville know why you're running for office this time around?
I'm running for office because I want to move the needle forward in the right direction. I think that we need new, bold leadership, especially post-COVID. And so I am running for office to offer that leadership. I'm very concerned about our community, especially with public safety. Concerned that as we move forward, the trajectory that we're on, we need to figure out how we're going to fund public safety, especially law enforcement. Also, I'm interested in partnering with federal agencies like NASA to bring in more job opportunities and job creation. And so I'm running for city council because I think I have something to offer.
Great, and actually let's just jump right into public safety. It's actually one of my questions. Right now, with the way things are going on in the country right now, you hear a lot of talk about defund the police. What's your position on that?
I don't support defunding police. I do believe Black Lives Matter, but Blue Lives Matter as well.
Okay.
And so as a property owner, I believe that all citizens should be protected, and police are there and they should protect citizens as well as property.
Right.
So I do not support defunding police. However, I do support reforms. I think that police should do the work that they're hired to do, which is to serve and protect our community.
Okay.
I like to see more social service workers handling things like homelessness, mental health crises, domestic violence, and those kinds of things. So, those kinds of reforms I do support.
So
However,
let me cut you off on there. So when you make that type of comment, you want to transition the police from doing those particular.
correct.
Gotcha.
Correct. I think that police are doing way more than what they should.
Right.
They're hired to protect and serve. They're not hired to mitigate domestic violence issues, deal with homelessness. I think they're spending way too many resources in that area.
Fair enough. Are you familiar with Measure P that's currently?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
What's your position on that?
Well, I don't want to increase taxes, but I do think that instead of increasing property taxes, sales tax increase is the way to go. That way, others that come into our community during the day, they can help share the cost.
Everybody has some skin in the game, just
There
not the
you
property
go.
owners.
There you
I feel
go.
you. I agree. Is this your first time running for office?
No, it is not.
It's not. When
No.
was the last time you ran?
I ran in 2018,
Okay.
right, for city council as well.
And,
Go ahead.
and what was your trigger point getting into this race this time around? Was there anything in particular?
Well, to be honest, some people asked me to run.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay.
They asked me to run, and they thought I would be a viable candidate.
Okay.
And so I took on the challenge.
Right. And is there, do you have any endorsements currently?
Yes, I'm endorsed by the Carpenters Union, Local 909, and also by the San Bernardino County Democratic Party.
Okay.
Yes.
And have you attended any of the council meetings within the last year at all?
I have, but since COVID-19, I have not participated. The last meeting that I attended, it was canceled. I went to a budget workshop. For
Okay.
whatever reason, they canceled the meeting and public had to disperse and leave. So I haven't been to a meeting since then because they haven't been open.
What can you do regarding the council to bring some civility to that board or the council itself?
You mean decorum?
Yeah, decorum, civility, where, there's not so much butting of heads, but people are able to talk and get along and actually have some type of compromise and get things passed.
I think what I can do is work with my fellow councilmen or council persons.
Sure.
Because that's the kind of leadership I offer. I'm committed, but I'm also collaborative. And to be honest, I have an opinion, but I also try to look at the other side. So I know it's a bit combative, but I think I can bring calm to the council.
And it's very needed at this time as well.
Absolutely.
And what are you currently doing? What are your job experiences that you can, on your career side, what you can do to transition to help the council?
Well, I'm a special education teacher.
Okay.
So I deal with children with special needs, and I also deal with their families. So for me, programs are important, especially for youth and seniors and the disabled. You asked, what can I do? I have a master's in education administration. I'm also working on a second master's in public administration. So I think I can bring that wealth of knowledge to the city council and allow, the entity to tap into my savvy and my knowledge.
And we're at the height of the campaign season. Are there three main talking points that you're utilizing out there?
Well, of course, I support public safety, robust public safety programs that includes fire and law enforcement.
Okay.
I believe in fiscal accountability to taxpayers. I don't believe in wasting taxpayers' money, but definitely I want to make sure we do prudent spending. Fiscal solvency is very important. And additionally, the partnering with other agencies, more job creation is something that is big for me.
And right now, there's what's your position on the homeless issues right now within the city?
Well, the homeless situation, I understand that our task force, I would be very supportive of the task force. I understand that they're using the housing first model. I believe in reducing barriers. That could be regulatory barriers so that entities such as churches and social service programs, nonprofits, can actually get in there and help the homeless. But it's a three-tiered approach. Prevention is number one,
Sure.
obviously, and then we have to think about single adults and children and families. So mental health
It's critical.
is critical.
Let me jump in. We're around
Okay.
30 seconds.
Oh,
I need you
okay.
to look at that camera and let the people know why they should vote for you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Irvin. I offer committed and established leadership. I want your vote on November 3rd, 2020. I'm number 20 on the ballot. Vote for Leslie Irvin. I will support strong public safety programs, fiscal solvency for the citizens of Victorville, and most of all, I will bring jobs to the high desert. Thank you.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thank you for being on the show.
Okay,
God bless
thank
and
you.
Godspeed.
Thank you.
Good evening. This is James Roberts. I am sitting with Mr. Jerry Laws, the Victorville City Council candidate. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm fine. Looks like I'm with a good crew.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming out this evening. Is this your first time running for office here locally?
No, you shouldn't ask that question.
Okay.
I ran once for city council. I think it was about 12 years ago.
Okay.
Here.
Okay.
And then I ran once for Congress. I ran twice for U.S. Senate. But that was afterwards. I ran one for state assembly and one for state senator.
Wow. So you've been around the block.
And then I ran once for the 8th district. And Open Up, he called me up and says he's running. I said, that's nice, Jay, but you ain't got John Hancock in your family tree. I do. But that's beside the point.
Yes,
I lost that race.
Yes, sir. And what made you jump into this race this time around?
Well, look, the local government is the closest to the people. So if you can't control your local government and do what they should do, and you'll see I have a book called U.S. Constitution. It's called the State Constitution. It was put out a few years ago, about 2015, which they do periodically. We are to obey God, family, country, and the Constitution, Bill of Rights. So, since I've been to council meetings several times, made my points, sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't, but at least they listen. You only get a minute and a half there, so that's the way it goes.
Yes, sir.
Is that your question? Why did I run?
Yeah.
Well, I want the airport developed. That was stopped when Obama evidently got in power.
Okay.
And I didn't have a chance to talk to the people who are running that out there right now. That's a gold mine. It's for all of us. It belongs to the city of Victorville. If they had any guts back then, they should have taken a little part of it before they tore it down and made it into an Air Force retirement home.
And how long have you been a Victorville resident?
About 20-some years.
Okay. So you
Came up from Hermosa Beach, Torrance area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know this is oceanfront property, you know.
No, I wasn't.
Beverly
aware of
Hills will be asking for your house, but of course you live down below, but that's okay. You'll be up here sooner or later.
that. And what are you currently doing, or what experiences do you have that you feel that you can assist the council with?
Well, I've been to meetings many times. I've been on radio for years, some TV, and I've supported the Constitution, Bill of Rights. My parents were very constitutional minded, good people, taught me those principles and all that good stuff. So I look at it this way. I'd like to see the city not raise a fee all the time.
Sure.
That's a tax,
Yes, sir.
in case you didn't know it. And the other thing is I like to see the city get the airport developed. And then I really can't say much more about the city because I really haven't been inside to see what's actually doing. Now I think they did overcharges for that sewer breakdown a while back, but we're still paying that
Okay.
and stuff. But that's good. We have our own fire department now. That's wonderful. That's good. We have good sheriff and we have good deputies.
Now, since we're on public safety, right now in the community or nationwide, actually, there's a lot of talk about defund the police. What's your position on that?
Well, when I was in the ambulance business down in LA years ago, I used to take a nut like Pelosi to Big General, and I take her down there, and they take her to Norwalk. She'd be out in a few weeks. No, that's nuts. You obey the Constitution, Bill of Rights. And by the way, you don't go against the Constitution, and you don't go against the Bill of Rights. You can, but you're going to be hurt in the long run. And all this nonsense is going on with this rioting and all that
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
Well, remember the group up in Idaho, that outfit was coming up to destroy their little town.
Right.
They all got their guns, went to the edge of the town and said, okay, come on in, but you're not going to walk out alive. You don't do that. Remember, for me, this is the promised land too, not just Jerusalem.
And thank you, I appreciate that answer. Are you familiar with Measure P currently?
What's measured? No, I'm not.
No, there's a 1%.
I pee a lot, but that's beside the point. I'm old.
Right, and it happens. there's a proposal of a 1% sales tax
In Victorville?
Yes, sir, to help fund public safety.
Well, you know what? We've got plenty of public safety. We could have more. We've got a good fire department right now. We don't need to raise taxes.
Okay.
Okay? Period.
Okay.
In fact, we probably need to, in the whole state and the counties, we need to cut the taxes. Period. And get back to the Constitution, Bill of Rights.
And we only have a few minutes left. What's your position on roads? There's a lot of potholes in the city.
Well, if the
Hold on a
government...
second, let me ask you a
I'm
question.
sorry. Yeah, sorry about that. Being on radio all these years, I have to take fast.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Well, here in Victorville, there's a lot of potholes, but there's also some good roads. What do you think you can do to help improve the infrastructure?
Well, I can think a lot of Democrats would like to put in those holes, but I better not do that. Anyway, look, we'll get to that when the time comes. You get the airport developed, that'll bring revenue in for us to help us on our street and our money for our city. But right now you need to defend, and by the way, you need to have a militia too, not just our good cops and our good sheriffs.
Okay.
Because the militia consists of everybody from 16 to, should be 116, who have the right to come to the city hall if they're called and defend that city. But you have to do it. But the main thing, now this is my personal opinion, being I'm a religious fella,
Okay.
if you follow the 10 Commandments, a lot of things will be better off.
Yes, sir.
But you must obey the Constitution, Bill of Rights.
I appreciate that. I only have a minute and a half left.
Well, I ain't dying to go to heaven, so I'm here.
What?
Don't forget to vote for me.
You can't. I'm not a resident of
You're down below,
Victorville.
you can't vote for me.
Here's my question
Go
to
ahead.
you. What are 3 major talking points as to why you're running and why the people should vote for you?
Well, it's very simple. I'll defend God, family, and country, and the Constitution, Bill of Rights,
Okay.
and the city charter, as long as it's constitutionally minded, in my personal opinion.
Right.
But I'm not going to know until I get in office.
Right. And what do you feel that you could bring some stability to the council?
Yeah, I'll look at it this way. If I can't get nothing passed, I can talk them to death, and they'll all leave us alone.
Right. Do you feel that you can go
Yes,
ahead and,
absolutely.
and negotiate
I've
with
been
them?
doing this for years.
Right.
I've been fighting this anti-American stuff since the 1960s.
So I'm assuming you're kind of
I'm
like
a Marine
on
before
the
now, I'm
lines
doing
of,
none after now.
I appreciate that. You're kind of like a gadfly in the sense of when you would go to the council, you would bring things up to the council. What in particular have you had changed or addressed out of all the times you've been here?
Change my address?
No, changed in the sense of when you're.
Oh, well, I think one councilman who's running against me, he's a pretty good guy, he got certain things done that need to be done.
Okay.
But we're not getting the airport developed. That's our money.
That's
right
for my
there.
next segment. I'm out of time. I appreciate Mr.
Well,
Ross coming to
nice
the
to
show.
meet you.
God bless you. Welcome back, everyone. I have Eric Swanson with us. You were behind the scenes.
Yes,
What did
I
you
was.
think of the interviews? Kimberly.
Kimberly was interesting because you could not give her questions fast enough. She was like boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
She was right on every answer,
Yes.
just everything you needed.
And what about Mr. Jerry Laws?
Cherry Laws is always, I love the guy. He's got a passion that is not comparable to anything about politics and the Constitution. He carries it with him.
Yes. And what about Miss Irving?
Miss Irving, you know what? You can tell that she really wants to get involved in this idea of what she sees that the community and what the public should actually start seeing.
Right.
And I saw that she was trying to make that passion. So I think that the 3 candidates.
Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications of our new videos.